The Mattel Creations exclusive Kol-Darr figure began the trend of fast sellouts on the Mattel Creations website, and because of that, it has one of the highest premiums on the secondary market, even if the figure's a little boring. So does the MOTU Origins Kol-Darr deserve its hefty price tag? Well, let's unbox and share my thoughts on the figure on this episode of Geek Dad Life. Hello everybody and welcome to Geek Dad Life. It's your host, Jay Gladfelter here. Hot off the heels of the arrival of our wun-dar figures, we have Kol-Darr, which was actually sold before wun-dar, but honestly, the past few Mattel Creations exclusives have been a little bit of a mess in a lot of different ways. These wun-dar figures showed up at, third-party retailers, and that sale process was a disaster. And this Kol-Darr figure sold out in 30 minutes, which I think kind of set up the really quick sellouts of these wun-dar figures, because I think a lot of people thought, well, this one might hang up there for a little while on the site, but alas, it did not. It sold out within 30 minutes, and a lot of people didn't even realize it was posted on Mattel Creations, and by the time they got there, it was too late. So I know a lot of people have not only been looking for the wun-dars, but looking for Kol-Darrs as well. And when I look at secondary market prices on eBay for this figure currently, we're already pushing upwards of $80 plus shipping for the figure, which I think is a bit of an overspend. Hopefully those prices come down over time. But yeah, with wun-dar and this Kol-Darr figure, the sellouts have been fast. And again, I hope that for the next Mattel Creations exclusive, which is going to be that Grizzlor figure, they make plenty for fans to get, because I didn't expect this figure to sell out as fast as it did, but it did. And I'm thankful that I was able to buy it within that 30-minute window to have it here. Now, I will readily admit I am not a big Kol-Darr fan. My fandom for MOTU has always come from the action figures and the mini comics more than anything else. But for the fans of the Filmation cartoon, Kol-Darr was featured in the episode Double Trouble, and I believe this is the first time we're getting a figure in any MOTU line of this character. So while I have no attachment to Kol-Darr, I'm really happy for those that do like this character and want to get him, because there's shows that I love, like The Real Ghostbusters, and we haven't gotten certain characters from that show in toy form that I would love to get one day. So I'm happy for those that have been waiting for this figure. And for me, as an accidental completionist for MOTU Origins, I had to pick it up as well. The packaging is what we have come to expect. We have this outer shipper box, which is supposed to kind of protect the carded figure inside. This is something that's been going on since MOTU Classics, and it is continued on here. It also has this nice stencil artwork on the outside of Kol-Darr, which is pretty cool. They've done it on all the Mattel Creations releases so far. Now, if you remember my wun-dar figure, the card kind of came in curve, but I have heard from some of the friends of the channel that they've actually put in a little cardboard spacer in here to make sure the card doesn't curl. So we'll see if my Kol-Darr has the same thing. And so again, this is clearly released after the wun-dar, because he did not have that. And yep, there we go right there. We have this little cardboard block, and it gets just a taped little block to, I assume, prevent heat from warping the card, because the wun-dar that I had didn't have any creases in it. It was just kind of warped, which I assume comes from the heat. So I like that they have learned and added this little blocker in here to make sure that the card doesn't get bent or warped. And looking at this Kol-Darr in package, I think it looks great. If you have the wun-dar or the Triclops Mattel Creations exclusive figures, very similar approach here. We have the awesome artwork of Kol-Darr here in the front. The rest of it is pretty standard to a MOTU Origins release with the Kol-Darr here in the bubble. But then when we turn it over, we get an awesome original art on the back, and it looks fantastic. I love how the Mattel Creations allow Axel and Francisco to really take advantage of this large canvas, and it looks really good here. I will say though, it looks like the back of this card had some glue seep through the other side. Maybe they put too much when they attached the bubble to this card, because if you look, it actually kind of has damaged the back of the card here, which is a little bit of a bummer. Again, I'm an opener, but I have been saving these Mattel Creation card backs. Who am I kidding? I save all of my card backs. So it's a little bit bummer. The amazing artwork has been affected by that overuse of the glue for the bubble that attached to the card. All right, let's see how this Kol-Darr looks outside of his packaging. So yep, my thoughts are confirmed that overuse of the glue on this side has stuck the mini comic to the cardboard as well. So my hope is that's just a one-off on my one Kol-Darr and nobody else has that issue. But that's my hope anyway. Again, I love that the Mattel Creations exclusives have individual mini comics to go with them. That has been true of the wun-dar and now this Kol-Darr, and love that we have this here. I'm curious if this follows the Double Trouble storyline at all. And that was, you know, basically they made an evil Kol-Darr, and I guess not. So, I mean, this is the beginning of their story because they're old friends in the Filmations episode. But still, pretty cool that we're getting an individual comic here. And then let's look at the figure himself. I love the gold paint on here, but let's get him out so we can get a closer look. All right, looking at this Kol-Darr figure, it is using the standard He-Man buck, but with some little variants. We actually have a reuse of the Triclops feet on this figure. Or at least the shin guards are the same. And I believe the feet are as well, because these lines are just painted here on the mini comics Triclops. So those are reused here. The rest of the body of the figure is the standard He-Man buck, but we do have some nice gold paint here on his cuffs, as well as the top of his loincloth. And then we do have new chest armor here. So that is a newly tooled feature of the figure. He actually has a place for his sword as well, which is great. And then we have a new head sculpt as well. And if you look really close, I don't think the eyes are individually painted. They kind of have the shape of, or maybe the eyes were sculpted there, but it's just painted black. So it's hard to probably capture it in camera, but he definitely looks like his eyes are there and they're just kind of covered in shadow by the little cutouts in the helmet. So I think that's really cool. I think it's a really nice feature, but the figure looks really good. I dig him. I love the horns as well. Again, I have no attachment to the character, so, you know, there's no nostalgia play here. And it's not the most dynamic looking character that's ever been introduced into the line. But still, it's pretty cool that we're getting him here. I think it's kind of the perfect kind of figure for a Mattel Creations exclusive. It's one of the more obscure characters that wouldn't make sense in a retail line. And I think it's a really good figure to be one of the Mattel Creations exclusives. His accessories are all reused here. We have the Triclops sword that's just molded in a kind of pearlescent silver plastic. We have the extra axe that came with that deluxe Ram Man as well. So no new tooling here on the accessories, but I think that's okay. He had an axe. This axe works fine for me. And then I would probably just store the sword on his back there. But still, it's pretty cool. I would say, again, unless you're a completionist or you are a huge fan of the Filmation series, and you've been waiting for a Kol-Darr figure, I think this one then becomes a must-buy. But if you are a more casual MOTU Origins fan, I don't think you're missing anything by not having this character in your collection. While I do think it's a fairly faithful recreation of the character that we saw on screen in the Filmation cartoon, I don't think it's like such a incredibly cool character on its own that if you aren't a fan of the Filmation series or you aren't a completionist, that you're telling yourself, oh, I really need to have that character. He's so cool looking. So I think this one is an easy pass for the more casual fans. And if you do really need this figure, then I guess it's one that you do have to pick up. I'm thankful I have them, but if I had to spend more than the $17 that I spent on this on Mattel Creations, I probably would pass. Maybe I would pay double, but I wouldn't pay triple or quadruple, which is what these Mattel Creations exclusives generally go for on the old Evil Bay. The secondary prices on wun-dar are worth it to me. Again, I think when you factor in how expensive a real Savage He-Man is, it's thousands of dollars. So, 50, 60 bucks isn't too bad when you look at the scheme of things. I also really love the Mattel Creations exclusive Sunman with the pearlescent plastic. I think it looks really cool. Plus, you had that great resealable packaging that I really liked. Don't fall over now. So I really like the resealable packaging. And I wasn't a huge fan of the Mini Comics Triclops either. It's cool, and again, was worth it for the $17 that it originally cost, but the $70 that it costs now, I just don't think it's quite worth it. But as I look at the first 4 exclusive figures from Mattel Creations, I have liked what they've done so far. We've gotten characters we've never had, we have some iconic variants that we've been made available, and we have the mysterious mail-away Savage He-Man that then became wun-dar as a figure. But for this Kol-Darr figure, it's awesome that we have him here in the MOTU Origins collection. More figures on the shelf, more diverse looks, makes it look that much better on your shelf, so I am all for it. And just Mattel Creations, you gotta get more supply to meet demand. I'd like to thank the people that make this show possible, my patrons. You can find a full list of them right here. If you'd like to help this channel grow, become a patron today, patreon.com/geekdadlife. Definitely check out some of the other videos on my channel, like this one that YouTube wants you to check out, and one of my more recent videos. And until next time, hasta luego, and goodbye.